Awesome. What's up, everyone? It's Ballietbran. Hope everyone is having a great day. Today, hopefully in a few minutes, the gentleman will join, but I've got a guest coming on. We're going to do a little interview. It's Crypto Lodge, and he goes by DeFi Due Diligence on his YouTube channel. So, yeah, happy to have another Hexican come on. He's also more so excited about PulseChain. From what it sounded like than Hex, but we'll hear it from him when he does come on. So yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Happy Sunday. It's a beautiful day here in Seattle. And since the last stream, the actual sacrifice phase itself has ended, right? So I kind of want to look at some of that, maybe go over some details on what Richard is saying that are the updates. So before I do the intro, let me just give you a little sneak peek of the sacrifice itself, right? So this is the address itself. I'll say what's up to everyone in the chat in a few minutes, but so that's the address itself. That was at least for Ethereum, right? And EVM based, tokens and cryptos. That's the amount. That's the total, and this actually doesn't include, maybe like $500 million, maybe 300 million, something like that, worth of Ethereum that was sent to this address as well. So I think that's pretty cool. It's awesome to see how successful, real quick, how successful this has been, right? When I was initially speculating, I think I've said before that I thought it might be anywhere from it's either 1 to 2 billion or half a billion to 2 billion. And that's kind of like what my, speculation was. And then we see on, obviously the OA has a big freaking part to do with that. But we had seen that the prediction was somewhat correct, right? We had 800 million, something like that, and then it went to 14 billion rather quickly. So I want to talk about that, especially with Crypto Lodge when he can make it, because he had mentioned, like I said, that he was more excited about Pulse than say Hex. But I want to hear what his thoughts are on that dynamic, right? Because just the analogy with the beers company, the diamonds that Richard uses, and when he talks about financial centralization in other things, right? Whether it be Elon Musk and all these things. So I want to talk about that. Let me just say what's up to the chat, and then I'll do the intro, and then hopefully he'll come on somewhat soon, and we'll do a little interview. We'll see, because I know he's not just into Hex and the Pulse. He's got a YouTube channel, and so he's into some other stuff too. Like I said, his name is DeFi Due Diligence. So, but I primarily want to hear how we got into crypto, and then kind of just talk about, Pulse primarily, it sounds like, and then whatever he wants to talk about Hex and whatever questions we can, hopefully answer and see what's going on. So let me just say what's up to the chat real quick. I'll do the intro, and yeah, we'll have a good time. ISO Serenity, what's up, family? How are you doing? Baggio says, interesting. This must be the darkest corner of Hex if I've got a tool. Okay. What's up, AJ? AJ Rip City. Johnny Chaos. Yeah, Johnny, he, or I guess Chaotic Creations, but he, you guys should follow him on Twitch, right? I think it's Chaos Experience is his name on Twitch, but the guy does amazing rants and just amazing work in general. That's similar to Richard, right? Very heartfelt, very heart-spoken type deal. And I, have a notification for every Hexican, but he's definitely one of them that I, same thing with Richard. I'll stop what I'm doing and check him out. So he does great work, and especially if you're someone that's new, you haven't been into Hex for a while and you're just kind of getting into it, I think you should follow some of these OGs that really know what the hell they're talking about, and not only that, but have experience too to back up what they're saying. It's not just fluff and emotions. It's more facts. All about the Hex. The Sapper says, many new to Hex and Pulse are voicing their displeasure at the influencers who kept it from them. It's going to get rather noisy on that front. Yeah, you see Big Boy kind of never really talked about it. I know he had been on Richard's channel, which is not the same as his own, but people seem to brush off that it was the top performing asset of 2020. And you're definitely right. If you're a gatekeeper of any sort, whether it be coin market cap or whether it be just these influencers that don't want to say they've got a following, but they want to be a follower and not a leader. So I clipped just a couple is all I had time for, but with Eric Wall, right? He's definitely a perfect example of that I'll kind of get into later. So what's up, Sig Hex? How you doing? Hey, Inviting Freedom. Definitely go follow her. She's great. David Morales had a good weekend. All right, and then Machiavelli, and then Piston. Okay, cool. So yeah, let me just play the intro, guys. And like I said, I mean, he's not in the green room right now, so we'll just see. But yeah, I'll kind of just hold down the fort and go over some of the stuff like I was saying, and then hopefully he comes on. We'll hear, you know, a new Hexican. That's one thing I really liked about, and I still do, Joe Exotic, right? He gets more into like the deep, like, you know, stuff like that. But I at least want to hear, you know, people's stories and how they got into crypto, and, you know, definitely let Joe do his things for like the, you know, hope and recovery and stuff like that. So without further ado, here we go.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. Ballietbran.
Cool. So yeah, like I said, we'll be hopefully having on Crypto Lodge. DeFi Due Diligence is his YouTube channel, and it's in the description as well. But before he comes on, hopefully, we'll just say what's up to the chat. Like I said, talk about the PulseChain. That's kind of like the big news, right? Is the PulseChain itself. It's Richard's second, you know, cryptocurrency that he's developing, and I think it's definitely going to be a major success, even from what we've seen so far, right? We've seen the channel itself in Telegram that is maybe like 4 months old, something like that. Let me tell you how many we have. We have 36,770, something like that. So the numbers are absolutely amazing. When you compare that to Hex, which has been around for, I don't even know, a couple of years, something like that, there is 26,295. So, you know, quite a bit more, almost 10,000 more. So it's really cool to see. I think, you know, it's going to, the price mechanism is going to be a lot different than, say, Hex per se, but it's going to be a network that people can utilize, that'll already be fresh with, you know, the copy that other people can use, because a lot of stuff on Ethereum has just become like, you know, too high of gas fees and things like that. So let's say what's up to the chat. Let me scroll down a smidge. Yeah, let's talk Pulse. Yeah, AJ, we can definitely do that, and especially with the guy. Hopefully he comes on. But anyways, yeah. I definitely want to talk about Pulse with him, and you know, how it can kind of help Ethereum, things like this. What's up, Identity Block? Dukaroo says, "How are you, sir?" Doing good, doing good. Can't complain. Hey, what's up, Chris? How are you doing, my friend? I'll be seeing you in a few weeks. Okay. Nice, dude. Finbear, he's always in the sauna. I could use the sauna sesh right now, man. I love the, you know, the toxins and just all the sweat that you do. You know, sit in there, just drink a whole bunch of water. But it says, I got my eye on you. Cool. Machiavelli. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's really cool, right? Because there's like the core OGs, I guess, if you want to call it, that like started streaming on Discord Syndicate back in the day. And then now there's people like, Whales Only, Matty Allen, and just a handful like Gerardo's another one that are like, just really articulate. They really explain things in a easy manner for people to understand. And not only do they have the experience, but they've got the charts, the graphs, the data. We can definitely take a look at some of that too. Pulse is going to be huge. It really is. I mean, you look at even Eric Wall, him and Kyle. If you look at my last two clips, him and Kyle, the developer for Hex that did the share rate thing, they had a pretty lengthy conversation, and I'm still listening to it. I'm like an hour and 30 something minutes into it. But the point is he had even, complimented, not commended, but he had complimented PulseChain and was saying like, oh yeah, it's very similar to Ethereum and just some of these other things that even though he's discounted a lot and in my opinion leached off the community a lot and not provided a whole bunch of value in regards to like kind of being uncertain and like FUD, but I think that was a really good interview. And like I said, I'm going to clip it and try and post as many clips as I can to hopefully get to his audience, right? Because he's going to use our audience and he has for a while. And I have him muted, but I want to hopefully get through to some of his people. Hey, what's up, the Sapper? Oh, okay, cool. We got Crypto Lodge in the back here. Let me just answer this question first, and then we'll say what's up. All right, the Sapper says, listening to the Pulse live chat, and the gatekeeping was a subject for quite a while. New adopters were really pissed at the talking heads that they led them astray. Yeah, I mean, especially when it's kind of like intentional and that's kind of like one of the main things going on. I see how people can. 1 second here. My audio might actually be coming from a different setup here. Give me just a second. Let me refresh and make sure the audio is coming from the right side identity, and we'll bring him on in just a second here. 1 second. Okay, everyone, let me know how the audio is, because maybe it's just because I was further away from the mic. But before we have the guy on, let's make sure the microphone is just for the show. Yeah, someone comment and let me know that the mic sounds good or not, because I should have this default USB mic that I've always used. But if that's not the case, I want to make sure it sounds good before we have our friend on. Better? Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Thank you for the feedback, guys. I'll just make sure to talk more closely. Okay, so yeah, hey, Crypto Lodge, don't know if you want to do camera, not camera, but just, I guess, post in the private chat. Okay, give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, cool. Couldn't hear you. Okay, cool, guys. Let's bring on Crypto Lodge and let's see how this goes.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? Doing pretty good. Nice to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I honestly, I haven't really watched much of your content. I've seen like just a little bit of it, but it was cool when I was making the thumbnail that this background that you have was kind of like part of the clip. I like the background there. How long have you had that for?
A couple months.
Yeah. Cool, man. Nice.
I had the tapestry. I actually had a YouTube channel with about 3,000 subscribers, but I fell victim to that false termination thing, lifetime ban. So I just started a new one. Everyone subscribe. It's DeFi Due Diligence.
Totally, man. Yeah, his your YouTube channel is in the description. When did that happen? Because it's unfortunate that, I mean, it's happened to a handful of people, and like I was mentioning in a private chat to you, that happened to Hexologists, and same thing. Tried to appeal, tried to do anything on Twitter with Team YouTube, and just nothing was reinstating the account. How long ago did that happen?
It happened in May.
Okay.
First, I got a beginning of May. I got a termination. My channel just got terminated for repeated violations when my channel had no violations on record, no warnings, no copyright strikes, clean record. So I appealed that, and immediately they restored my channel. And then about a week later, it happened again. I appealed that, and they denied the appeal. I went through the channels with Team YouTube. I even had BitBoy Crypto retweet for me for to Team YouTube, and nothing yet. One of my subscribers is a lawyer. He's still a subscriber, so he is a subscriber. He's a lawyer. He wrote up a fantastic legal argument and sent it to the legal team. So I'm hoping I get that channel back. But for now, right there, if I do diligence in the description.
Oh, totally, man. I was gonna say I didn't have the HTTPS, so I need to just update that real quick, just so everyone can. What I'll do is I'll just post it in the chat, and then it should take like another 20 seconds, and I'll just update the actual video itself. But maybe.
While you're doing that, I just want to talk about these bans.
Sure.
Leads me to I am full speed ahead on DLive and Theta and all the decentralized platforms, and I'm looking for that next winner that's gonna everything's been disrupted except YouTube. YouTube's been running strong for decades, and it's gonna be a hard giant to take over. I see Audius, they just you get more money on Audius than going through Spotify, and that's going to disrupt. It's not big enough like YouTube. It's going to be hard to take down YouTube, and we're talking about it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's so sensitive, but we need decentralized video platform, basically a clone of YouTube that is decentralized, and the stakers get the vote on what happens.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. That's definitely one of the things that I know. Richard's even talked about that. There's like S corps, right? And like we saw the back in the day with MySpace and stuff like that. That it was popular for a while, and then it didn't become.
Right. Social media is going to be another hard one to decentralize, but it's going to happen. And yeah,
Richard, my audio bad?
Talking about this, your audio's fine.
Okay, I got people bitching in the chat. And it's like, dude, I'm doing the same setup that I've done the whole time and never had many complaints as much as now. So sorry, what were you going to say?
You always got audio junkies in the chat that it's not perfect. I get arguments about my computer fan. They can hear my fan.
Okay, thank you, Blacktooth. No, dude, you should see Whales Only if you've never seen him, because he's got the same thing where he's got a good setup and whatnot, but sometimes when he's running those charts, the software and whatnot, it just, same thing. It has some problems with the fan. But yeah, the thing that I've learned is I've even banned a couple of people that were followers of mine for a while because they just had some comments that were really too constructive and not any not even constructive, but insulting, oh, why don't you do this and that?
Racist people from my Telegram and from my YouTube. Yeah. People that, some people are really racist.
Yeah, no, it's an.
And
let me just ban this guy real quick.
You got to be careful as a crypto creator on YouTube.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. Let's get into that just a little bit before we get into the crypto. You're definitely right. So yeah, YouTube has been the main
de facto.
Yeah, channel, and then they got bought out a long time ago. But it's definitely one of those things that, like you mentioned, I mean, the eyes are on the YouTube channel itself. Like Richard's talked about that.
Did you know
you
that?
Got to go with.
Did you know that the two original creators of YouTube, one of them took their money and went and created Theta?
I heard about that. Yeah, so tell me more.
Is one of the original creators of YouTube.
Yeah, no, we've got a handful of people in the Hex and crypto community that use Theta as well, and I really like that kind of platform. I mean, if you're going to be spending your time anyways, it's kind of cool to be able to earn some sort of currency and things like that you can at least not be completely monetized the whole time from the platform. But yeah, that's why we're streaming out to 2, 4, 6 different channels right now. But yeah, so maybe tell us just we can kind of go wherever you want, but maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you said you had the channel banned in May, wrongfully terminated. Can you tell us when you got into crypto, stuff like this, maybe some of your story?
I was into DLTs, decentralized ledger technology, before Bitcoin was around. I was heavily into BitTorrent and P2P networking. So when the white paper dropped, I was all over it. I was actually one of the people mining. You can mine 100 Bitcoin in a day when it first came out. And none of us, not a single, maybe Satoshi and maybe a couple other developers knew, but nobody else knew what was going to happen. So we didn't think twice about these Bitcoins. We were sending them all over the place, losing them.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, I lost my early day Bitcoin. I got out of it. Just didn't interest me for a couple of years. Nobody was really talking about it. And then it hit exchanges at a couple bucks or something. And it just blew up. The little bit of Bitcoin I had, I thought I was a genius selling it at, 100x. I thought I was a genius
Mm-hmm.
selling it at $1,000. But I've always been into P2P, DLTs, blockchain ever since the white paper. I'm into new projects like proof of stake, proof of history, like Solana and Luna, Phantom, Cardano. And I'm into anything that works. And ETH pulled off EIP 155 without a hitch. Beautiful. And there's going to be little counters on the side of all the crypto YouTuber channels. And it's going to be a counter on CoinGecko and a counter on Coin Market Cap of how much ETH is being burned and how much has been burned since EIP 1559. So we're counting down by the day, by the week, soon by the week, soon by the month, soon by the year. This is going to add so much buy pressure to Ethereum. And
No, I mean, you're not wrong at all. I mean, as the space as a whole, you can't just be like, oh, a lot of like Bitcoin maximalists and whatnot are like, oh, we're in it for the tech and like every other coin's a shit coin type deal. And it's like, man, you got to realize, like, just like with the .coms and just stocks and stuff like that, that there's not just one winner, right? But if you really do care about the technology, like you mentioned, something like EIP 1559, like if there was a handful of people that I had seen that were like, man, this didn't make the fees go down any lower. And I don't think that was like the goal, but like the actual burn mechanism, I think, is good for like a pumpamental and good for the ecosystem.
Absolutely. Yeah, gains are gains. I have my portfolio is a lot of it's staked in Hex. I'm not holding any. It's all staked. It's all staked for T shares. I'm staking ADA, Cardano. I'm staking Luna in Anchor Protocol, which is actually 20% APY forever, which has been stable for a long time now. That's why Luna's going up in value. Hodling Solana and a bunch of small cap gems. And I do my DeFi due diligence. That's why the channel's called that. So
I think you told us that you told me like you got into crypto, what did you say, in 2019, something like that? Or can you tell us like maybe?
No, I got into crypto around 2008.
Okay, the DLT part. Okay, cool. I guess when did you start like the original YouTube channel?
I started the original YouTube channel November 2021.
Nice, dude.
No, November 2020.
Okay, cool. Nice. So I was just curious. Yeah.
4 months, I got to 2,000 subscribers, started my monetization, got cleared for all the perks, and then I got terminated.
I was gonna say, yeah, because that's definitely a good amount, and especially for crypto. I mean, even people like BitBoy back in the day, because I remember watching him and just a lot of other like quote unquote influencers. And same thing, like in 2017, it was like, oh, they had like a couple thousand, and then now it's like the guy's got like 1 million, something like that. So it's interesting how the space can work.
Yeah.
When did you get in? When did you get into? I know you say DeFi due diligence, which is awesome, right? It's cool to talk and listen to people that aren't just like one-track mind. When did you get into Hex? How did you hear about it? What were your questions, stuff like that?
I had heard about Hex for years, but never looked into it. One day, during the crash, the most recent crash, when Bitcoin went to 55K or 64K and crashed, Hex went up like crazy as the market crashed. So this caught my attention. So I reached out and had an interview with Captain Rob, RG3. He's that's on my channel. You can watch the video. It's over an hour long interview with me and him talking about Hex. And I was a skeptic in that video. And I had a conversation with Nerd Girl, which is about an hour long. It's on my channel. And I was a skeptic in that video too. But I decided to buy some Hex and stake it. And I did more research, watched Richard. My problem was trusting a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And trusting him with the original address with 90% of the tokens. But if you go to holders on CoinMarketCap, you can see that Hex is extremely decentralized. Besides the OA, nobody else holds over 1%. It's extremely decentralized. So it was hard for me to I just don't trust, that's why my name's DeFi Due Diligence.
Yep.
I'm a skeptic. I don't, if someone has access to all these tokens, they could dump them. But I watched Richard talk more and more, and I don't think that's even something that would even benefit him.
Yeah, it's really true. And are you familiar with like Eric Wall?
No.
Oh, okay. So anyways, he kind of has like him and just a lot of other people and people that I know that have that skepticism. Usually it's like, oh, cool concept, whatever. And then same thing, like you mentioned, you hear the OA and then it's like, what is this thing? And, it could totally cut off its nose to spite its face type deal, like totally dumb. But then, yeah, I definitely agree that being skeptical is important. And, it's how a lot of people succeed is by not falling into traps and stuff like that. So that's really cool that you, did have those conversations with NerdGo and RG3 and whatnot, because in my opinion, yeah, it's healthy to have the skepticism, stuff like that. And then, if for whatever reason that fear that you had becomes like disproven over time, which is kind of, what that sounds like even with, Bitcoin, Satoshi had 100% of the coins, and then it slowly kind of went out through the networking and got decentralized. I definitely kind of see it similar, especially with the
that's not how Bitcoin rolled out.
But didn't he have 100% of the supply like at one time?
No.
Okay.
Coins were mined into existence by everybody.
Okay.
It was
I get
a fair launch.
Okay, yeah, I shouldn't say 100% of supply, but anyways, the point is
he mined he mined 1 million of them, and that's what's in his wallet that hasn't moved.
Okay, no, I appreciate the clarification. I guess just my point is that with even like the OA and most of it not being staked, that the people at least that are right now are kind of like diluting the OA and giving them a little bit more of a advantage when it comes to things like that. But so you got into Hex, you had a little bit of skepticism, which is normal from what I've seen. It's really interesting, like you mentioned, that it's almost been somewhat like decorrelated with the Bitcoin had a crash, and then same with everything else in the market, and then it wasn't doing that. Do you think that that's part of like?
I think that's part of the OA's design. I think that's one of the benefits of the OA. I think it is there to make sure that people who believe in the project don't get dumped on. And we saw that happen during the crash. Hex pulled I don't even have the number off the top of my head, but it's over 1,000% as the market dropped.
Nice, man. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, like you mentioned, to see one kind of go up, the other one go down, and it's like, wait, I thought this one had no merit, no value. Why is it going up while everything's not? I personally think a lot of that's because the liquidity is tied to USDC versus Bitcoin or ETH and whatnot. But can you maybe tell me about? I know you said you're more excited at least and stuff like this about like PulseChain. Can you maybe tell me a little bit about like what you're excited and stuff like that?
I'm excited about all the new blockchains, and I'm excited about interoperability and cross-chain DeFi. We need a standard where all blockchains can communicate with each other, and progress is being made. My favorite coins and top holdings are Solana, Luna, Cardano, Phantom, Harmony One, Hex. Those are the top projects I can think of. Theta, because I believe in the project.
It really is a multi-chain, universe now. You're definitely right about that. I know Richard's even talked about BSC, Binance Smart Chain, and that they kind of showed that it was like feasible to get some of Ethereum's attention and maybe community with the fork of it, So I think that
all the attempts of these new protocols are to emulate Ethereum virtual machine. I'm a developer. I'm a smart contract developer as well, so I know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at the projects. So everyone's trying to be interoperable with Ethereum, and they are. There's Harmony's EVM compatible, Phantom's EVM compatible, Polygon, Polkadot will be, ADA will be, Solana is, Luna is. They all are. So we're moving into a phase where we're going to see blockchains that are fast and most of all cheap for DeFi and cross-chain, because people don't want to have a headache about moving from this chain to that chain. It should all be fluid, and it's going to be fluid. The protocols are being mastered right now.
Yeah, it's definitely important, like you mentioned. I mean, I remember just interacting with ETH, whether it was hex stakes or just transfers. Probably when like gas was the lowest, like it used to be like a penny, and now it's don't even know what the GUI is on. Now it's just a lot more. Is my point, and I think that you're right. If you're going to have any sort of adoption, you need to remove the things that might, turn people off. Like most average investors and whatnot, like. Sure, they might have 401k and a little bit of stuff here and there, but when they just have like say $100 and they want to get in, like you mentioned, to say like something like ETH or just other things, well, that's a huge turnoff if you're already going to have like say 15 to 25% of your principal eaten away in fees. So I definitely agree for like the sustainability. There needs to be lower fees for it to be ever used.
Yeah, and that's happening. 2.0's EIP was a success. It rolled out without a hitch. There was a lot of naysayers. I was one of them. I was saying it's not going to be that easy, but they did it. Man, I'm proud of them. I haven't held ETH, and I still don't for a long time. It's just large cap. I don't hold Bitcoin either. I'm in the small caps, making larger gains. On good projects that have potential.
Totally.
And
totally. Oh, go ahead.
That's all.
Okay. So yeah, let me ask a question because I know you'd mentioned it, and I actually kind of forgot when we initially talked. But so Inviting Freedom says a smart contract developer. That's rad. I'll try and get some questions interlaced within it. But can you maybe tell us and tell me how long you've been doing that and what your experience has been like how did you first get into it?
I've been doing rudimentary blockchain development back before Ethereum, just helping out with smaller projects that I liked. I contributed to Monero, moved on from that. As soon as Ethereum came out, that pretty much changed everything. And I got deep into Solidity, and the amount of it's a strange world being a developer in Ethereum, especially during the ICO rush. I would get 1,000, not 1,000, I'm exaggerating, but
sure,
12 interviews a day where people want to face-to-face talk to me about creating a crypto for them, and they were all meme coins or shit coins.
Sure, yeah.
And I refused to work on those. So there were very few projects that I took interest in. So because of the high demand, I just do consulting. I do consulting. I charge per hour for consulting. Some people have me on retainer. And I just consult and I do my YouTube. So
Nice, dude. Is Solidity like, because I don't know much about all of it, but I know a little, is that kind of like the main consulting
Solidity
part?
is Ethereum's smart contract programming language.
Right. Is that where most of like your skill is in the programming and in development area?
No. I know a variety of languages. Once you know a couple, you just look at, take a crash course on a new smart contract programming language, and you're good to go. For example, Cardano has Plutus programming language. Solana has their own. Terra Luna has their own.
Totally. No, that's cool, man. That's definitely interesting that you mentioned. I mean, I know, like you mentioned, with the ICOs of 2017, and even like the DeFi summer stuff. It seems that so many people, like you mentioned, instead of say working on like core Bitcoin or ETH, for example, they'd rather spin up their own crypto that might be more profitable. So yeah, we've seen so many, because like it's not hard to fork something and just name it like Shiba Inu and stuff like that. Yeah. There's a million different forks, but how does it gain?
I've seen the same smart contract over and over and over again. The SafeMoon smart contract has been duplicated and duplicated and duplicated, and it's I look for the real good projects doing real good work, doing real world things like Golem Network. It's a decentralized cloud that's competing with Google Cloud and Amazon AWS. It's faster and cheaper and more secure, just to name one. These projects are going to start disrupting everything. And we're at a very lucky moment in time where we get to use our intelligence and pick protocols and possibly become filthy rich.
It's so true. I mean, I'm only 24, was born in 96, but I know that that's like, as far as like analogies and being able to look at the past and how the future might not be exactly the same, but might rhyme. It does kind of feel like you mentioned, like that even when I was in 2017, I just had the thought, but like, we're just still so early as a whole, like the space itself as a whole, all of crypto is still very like, even though Bitcoin's been around since whatever, like the actual adoption and everything seems that it is like pre-viral, and like you mentioned, that is the opportunity for the early adopters and early investors that stuck around that can become, the most wealthy when that S curve of adoption goes up. And like you mentioned, it's important to be able to see the bullshit, right? You mentioned SafeMoon, and I had some people that were like, man, why shouldn't I get into this? And then same thing, you look at the past and it's like, from someone that of your expertise, you can see like, oh, this is just a fork of proof of weak hands 3D.
Right. And then what these meme coins do, like Shiba and SafeMoon, is they go ahead and they follow in the footsteps of like Uniswap. They create Shiba Wallet, Shiba Swap, SafeMoon Swap, SafeMoon Wallet. They create an ecosystem after a meme pump. And it's all just clones of other BSC projects, other smart contracts, Uniswap. Everything just gets cloned. And a lot of times, some of the conversations I've had with people to create a crypto, this one guy wanted 10% of all transaction, a 10% fee out of all transactions to go to his personal wallet. Mm-hmm. I said, sure. And what I wrote into the contract is 10% of all transaction fees go to the holders.
Yeah.
And then he launched it. And once you launch a smart contract, you can't stop it. So he's pretty mad at me. But the token holders are pretty happy.
Right. No, that's definitely interesting. I mean, like you mentioned, that was, even though I've been in since probably March 2017, I was in a handful of the stuff. But anyways, yeah, when it comes to smart contracts, that's where I think a lot of the that's what, in my opinion, kind of interests me so much about Hex, is that like it's a smart contract, but then they took all the admin keys, like threw those away and then locked it. And so, like you mentioned, it's I think when it comes to disrupting and things like that, you want something that's actually immutable and not something that could necessarily be like manipulated from an outside source. Like if someone has an admin key and can just render stuff useless or make changes to the main code itself, it might have an attack vector that other things it didn't have that might not have. So let me ask you a question from a couple of things from the audience, because I want to incorporate some of them. We got 80 people watching, and a lot of the chats, really liking what we're talking about. Gavin Milner, he says, we need the people who write Solidity to write better code. Golem is a great project. And then the second one says, Crypto 303, they say, I was just about to ask his experience with Plutus. I think it will be a barrier to entry. More people are likely to just use the KEVM and Solidity.
Plutus, to answer the second question, Plutus is a very simple language to learn, and Solana took an approach that is not EVM compatible, and they found extreme success with that. They found that people who take the time to learn a new, simple, plain English programming language like smart contract languages are very simple. So the quality of developers that take the time to learn a new language, an easy language, one that doesn't take much time, they tend to be higher quality developers, and Solana, that's why Solana's got great developers. That's why Cardano's got great developers. And Ethereum does have great developers. Smart contract capability, that was the first one. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah. Let me go back to the first real quick. It's so Gavin says we need the people who write Solidity to write better code, and then he says Golem is a better project. But then the other guy was about Plutus. I think it will be a barrier to entry. More people are likely to use the KEVM and Solidity.
Yeah, a lot of people will choose to use the ERC20. Like Cardano's going to have an ERC20 converter. And a lot of projects do. They have a bridge for ERC20, which is no problem. Going to the first question, can you please repeat the first half after he said Golem's a good project? What was before that?
Oh, so he just said that Golem is a great project. We need the people who write Solidity to write better code. I mean,
they're doing the best they can do, I guess. We need less shitcoins. We need the people we need Solidity developers to have a little bit of honor and integrity. There's who is doing this? There has to be some intelligent programmers behind. Actually, they're copy and pasting code. You really don't need to be a genius to launch a shitcoin, honestly. And on BSC, it doesn't cost much at all. You can use one BNB for liquidity, and you got a coin, and you can start pumping it. It's ridiculous. Golem is a great project.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean it's cool, right? Like I participate in a show on where I think we're going to move to Wednesdays now, but anyways, got a handful of people that have more altcoin and other crypto experience than I do from say like Hex and PulseChain and stuff like that, because used to have a whole bunch of that skill and information in 2017, and then I kind of just consolidated into what I was doing at the time. But yeah, so I had a question for you. When did you? I know you've been in Hex for a little while. When did you hear about like Pulse and like what's most exciting about it for you, right? Because we've seen things like Binance Smart Chain do a fork and be successful. Matic, Polygon do the same thing, but we've never seen like the actual whole system state, snapshotted and integrated into it. Can you maybe tell me like what you're excited for? Did you, what did you think about the, the sacrifice phase,
When I was a skeptic, I actually laughed at the sacrifice phase. Like, really, there's no promise of anything in return, and you're just going to you could send them a boat, you could send them cash, you can send them stocks, you can send them crypto, you can send them anything of value, and they said it would be immediately liquidated. but I think it was a chess move. I think Richard's doing a smart thing. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest airdrops. I mean, I think he said this is the biggest airdrop in history. And I like innovation, anything that's going to make things faster, cheaper, more secure, more decentralized, not in the control of institutions. Got their hands in Bitcoin and Ethereum, period. It's institute. You know, a couple of years ago, everybody wanted institutions, and I was one of the only people saying, no, we don't. Look what they do to the conventional markets. They get their dirty hands in there and start manipulating prices, and things get crazy. What's better for the ecosystem of all blockchain and crypto is more users, which the amount of users is at an all-time high, despite prices across the board. Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything.
I definitely agree. Yeah, when you mention, traditional manipulation and, whatever, what kind of like initially sold me on crypto was I'd always kind of had like the cypherpunk stuff like that, thoughts that I really agreed with. And then, like you mentioned, there needs to be more people that work on it. Like I'm a fan of things like Tornado.cash or like things that, like you mentioned, Monero, like you said, you contributed a little bit to that. Can you maybe tell us that experience?
I just helped with the GitHub years ago.
Nice. No, that's cool, right? We need
issues, little things. Just was involved with the community and contributed to the GitHub a little bit. Can't take too much credit. The other guys did a great job with it, and they still are. It's a great project. I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely it's definitely worth mentioning, and I think it's important, right? Like when it comes to cryptocurrencies, like just because it's the regulations,
it's the infrastructure bill with the crypto thing that has me shook, and also the FATF. They're going to have a new decree in October or sooner that labels cryptocurrency and especially ICOs and IDOs as a high-risk investment. So only the wealthy will be able to participate in the 1000xers. So I'm, as a hedge against regulation and oversight and surveillance, I'm hedging on the best DeFi protocols out of the reach of institutions and corporations and government. And that includes Monero and things like Tornado Cash. And
it's important, right? Privacy is definitely a human right, and you shouldn't have to forfeit that just because you want to get into cryptocurrency and things like that. And
even Uniswap had a tweet about possibly implementing SEC guidelines, and they deleted that tweet.
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw like even Eric Voorhees, I guess it's called Fox something now, but anyways, he used to, I'm blanking on what it's called right now, but yeah, he had a little thing that was similar to like Uniswap, and then same thing, it still had some control in the back end, and then once you have any sort of like give, then the government's eventually gonna put their hands in there. But yeah, that's definitely one of the things that's cool about crypto, and like not necessarily like asking for permission, but like coders say like code is law, things like that. Like if you can write stuff that's going to be used in smart contracts that have a certain
code is law, and code needs to remain law in cryptocurrency. And there's going to be these centralized blockchains coming around. They already started, and they're going to reach high market caps with institutional money because they want centralization in crypto. So I don't want to include things like, I don't know, Hedera Hashgraph, partially set, a lot of centralization. Holochain admits to mostly centralization. A lot of blockchains most of the nodes and validators are run by the creators. So you really have to do your DeFi due diligence.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like you mentioned, even things like Uniswap. I think it was version 2, or I think it was version 2 that had like a built-in tax that Richard was talking about. I think that was for liquidity providers that V1 didn't have. So you'll definitely see that, like you mentioned, where
KYC on Uniswap is coming.
I heard about that, dude. That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
The opposite of what the original technology of the automated market maker was supposed to do. It's like, man, you're right. That's going to be kind of, and I want to hear more of your thoughts on like the bill itself, because honestly, I don't really know much. Can you maybe tell us how we can preserve what little freedoms and like not have that corroboration of someone else coming in and kind of ruining the space?
Well, there's two scenarios. One scenario is it doesn't pass with the crypto killer in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna pass, but hopefully not without the crypto killer in it. So if it doesn't have the crypto killer in it and passes, that's good, and it's actually going to pump the markets because there's going to be a lot of spending. It's a big bill, and it's also, the bill includes language that is going to make it easier for the Biden administration to pass a $3.4 trillion spending bill. So there's going to be more spending towards the end of the year once this passes. So it's a good thing to get these spending packages through. Inflation helps crypto. The money printer going boom helps crypto. But as when it comes to centralization and crackdown on crypto, which is going to happen, it's going to happen at the end of the year. The FATF regulations take a long time to implement, but they are honored across the board by all institutions and banks everywhere. All the exchanges are going to have to comply and things. So I'm looking for the most decentralized place. And right now, the best place I know of is the Terra ecosystem with the UST decentralized stablecoin, because the first thing on their agenda is stablecoins because they pose the biggest threat.
Yeah, so, you're definitely not wrong. I mean, when it comes to the epitome of what crypto is supposed to be for, and when it comes to things are almost like central bank digital currencies. But when you mentioned like USDC, they have like 100% admin key where for whatever reason that they want to come up with, they could invalidate whoever's transactions and stuff like that and make it null when you thought you had $1 million. And so I wanted to say that it's cool having you on and hearing this for the first time, because I'm very similar, like the more DeFi stuff. And like I said, not having to effing ask, for permission, or like not have to send a million different selfies to, do a transaction. So just real quick, inviting freedom. She says, wait. Did Uniswap announce that? And she's talking about like the, either the tax or I think the KYC that you had mentioned. And the only thing I wanted to say to that is, I know people like Richard had mentioned on PulseChain that he's going to do his own fork of V2. And so like, even if that initial protocol incorporates the tax or incorporates the KYC, there's still, it can be cloned. Exactly.
Right. But Uniswap did, in fact, tweet something along the lines of cooperating with the SEC and imposing KYC, and they deleted that tweet. It may have not been a tweet, but a blog post. Do your research. Just look it up on Google.
Yeah,
and more on UST, the decentralized stablecoin. That's the best thing I can find to keep your money in right now if you're afraid of government regulation, because it's a decentralized stablecoin. Do your research. It's backed 1-to-1, more than 1-to-1. And if you stake UST on Anchor Protocol, which is also in the Terra Luna ecosystem, you earn 20% APY forever, no matter what. And that beats the hell out of USDC 6% and Tether's 6 or 7%, and plus, Tether's under a lot of fire. It looks like, Tether could be, I don't know. Tether will probably get some institutional money to cover their asses and keep on chugging along. But I'd rather go with the decentralized stablecoin, and UST on Luna is the best I've found. It's on KuCoin.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's interesting how much separation there's been from like what the epitome of what crypto is supposed to be, right? Like you mentioned about institutions or just, not having to ask the government for everything. It's interesting to see, fractional reserve banking, whether it be Tether or some of these other ones are now involved. And just some of the almost like, hey, are we going forward or are we going backwards? Like, are we going into a step of like freedom and innovation and usage and decentralization, or like more control, more shackles, like, stuff like this that might be going on. So it's definitely an important time, I think, and kind of like a like a pivotal moment, in my opinion.
Well, they can cause the regulation can cause a dip. They can ruin innovation in America, so we fall behind in innovation in crypto. But crypto doesn't care what United States says, what any government says, what any fat F organization says. The IMF, World Bank, crypto doesn't care what they say. So they can cause a dip, but they can't stop it. The only way to have any sort of control in crypto is to own a whole lot of it. And that's why I think behind the scenes, they bought a whole lot of Bitcoin, a whole lot of Ethereum. And we already know institutions hold a whole lot of Cardano because of the staking rewards. And it's a scientific peer-reviewed blockchain. But
are you excited for anything about like PulseChain in particular? Like, I know, like we talked about, like, sure, you got Tornado.cash, which is a smart contract, but I mean, if someone were to do it on Ethereum, the gas fees to do that S load can kind of be expensive. Like, do you have any thoughts, like whether it be NFTs or stuff like that you're curious about?
I don't know too much about PulseChain.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how much info has been released.
Sure.
From what I hear, it's a fork of Ethereum, proof of stake fork of Ethereum. So, the PulseChain team's going to roll out essentially Ethereum 2.0 quicker than Ethereum. Is what I'm guessing their agenda is. So I'd love to see an expedited, move fast and break things, ETH 2.0 type thing on PulseChain. And from what I understand, that's what it's going to be: faster, cheaper Ethereum.
Yeah, you're right, and it's exciting. I mean, as someone that's been in Hex for a while, one of the things as a smart contract on Ethereum that Richard or no one has control over is being able to increase, the S load function, stuff like that. And it happened at a 12 times increase in Ethereum that made like I mentioned, like Ethereum used to be like, penny to send a transaction, penny to end stake. And then as the network got more busy and more used, and they upgraded the S load function, we saw some like end stakes for Hex. You mentioned you have some stakes. Like, we saw some of the end stakes go up to like $1,000, like $1,500 for like a year stake, and it's like, well, that eats into a lot of the profit and things like that. So I was just kind of curious to hear if there was anything like any smart contracts or stuff like that you were interested in. But no, I think it's going to be really, really exciting, right? You have the first mover advantage that usually kind of does very well. We talk about MySpace kind of getting, it's not really relevant anymore, but then you've got the companies like, YouTube, Google, Facebook that kind of like bought out that S curve. They kept just, having more innovation and keep getting more. So I think with
at the end of the day, the faster, cheaper, more secure, and more decentralized blockchain is going to win.
Right.
I think it's going to be a handful of them that are all going to work together. And it's the projects that work together that I love. The projects that are not competitive with other projects. They want to include. They want to make a bridge from this chain to this chain. So there's going to be a huge bridge between all protocols. There's actually a protocol called the Orion protocol. If you look that up in Google, CoinMarketCap, their attempt is to bring all blockchains into one trading terminal, which is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, you're definitely right when it comes to like interoperability. Like there can't just be like one dinosaur network that, like you mentioned, doesn't, you can't just have like the internet that doesn't communicate with everything else. Like what great is it if you are fishing in your own pond and, you're not where all the other fish are. So I definitely think you're right that's one thing I haven't really stayed up to date with, but now realize is super important. The multi-chain.
Look at the gains on the fast, cheap, interoperable blockchains. Solana went up over 100% in this little run. Phantom went up over 100% in this little run. Harmony One went up over 100% in this little run. Luna went up like 500% since the crash. So I think that's where smart money is going: faster, cheaper, more decentralized, and interoperable cross-chain. That's where the money's going, and Ethereum's at the pinnacle of all that. So as people watch this burn clock tick down, more ETH being burned per day, per week, per month, it's gonna give Ethereum such a clout of deflation. I think all the old models of Ethereum are broken. The old logarithmic rainbow regression band is broken because it doesn't account for the deflation now. So, and PulseChain, I'm super excited for if it can make transactions faster, cheaper, decentralized, more reliable, more intuitive, and cross-chain. I'm all for it. And I think being one of the early receivers of the Pulse token is going to be very, very rewarding.
Yeah,
as everything Richard got into is,
it's true. I mean, I know at the height there's always like exceptions to the rule, but yeah, at the height for people that just wanted to do NFT stuff or things like that, the network was just so expensive and kind of priced out certain things. And even I mentioned, even when it comes to like the anonymity. So I think that especially for Hexicans, like, myself included, have kind of, pretty much been in this ecosystem for a little while and been like, everything else is a shitcoin and not as good. But it's interesting because just like I was in 2017, you need to have use and adoption on that network. That's the PulseChain. You need people to come in and actually start building and using it for the burn rate, for the network and usability to be successful. It's a different mechanism than Hex is, as opposed to locking and staking and earning interest.
Yeah, I agree.
So cool, man. Yeah, is there anything that you want to talk about, like to the 85 people that are watching that I guess we haven't really talked much about, or anything that we kind of want to go over? I mean, it's been really cool to talk to a dev, right? I know there's another guy that I'll be having on somewhat soon that's a dev too, and I like talking to people that can kind of see things from both angles, the crypto space as a whole, but then also like the technical details of it as well.
Yeah, I think the tech side is very important because I'm basically 24/7 monitoring all of the jobs being posted. I see what blockchains people are hiring for. I see the projects that are coming up next, and I'm able to look at GitHubs. Like when someone recommends a coin to me, this is good advice for everybody. If someone recommends a coin, first thing you do is go to coinmarketcap.com and you click on white paper and you click on source code. And if it doesn't have a source code, you should probably back away. It will, if it takes you to a smart contract on Etherscan, you should probably back away. But if it takes you to a GitHub and that GitHub is active, it will show you how often it's updated. Good projects are updated like every hour, every 2 hours, every day. Bad projects, if you click on the GitHub, on the source code, it takes you to the GitHub, and they uploaded a smart contract 16 months ago and never touched it, then you can say that it's not in active development, or at least it's not in active public community development, which is the only projects I really like to get behind. Open source, let people contribute. Don't do it behind the scenes.
Dude, it's so true, man. I was not sold a lie, but like there was like alleged consensus that in 2017, because I was in a Litecoin, Bitcoin, ETH, like the whole nine, but specifically with Litecoin, that was like, oh, all this development's happening, and I'm not a developer, and so for someone like yourself or someone like Richard that was able to see like no activity, it's easy to call bluff and BS. But can you maybe is it easy for you to see like admin keys and things like that? Like you mentioned, kind of going to the source code or the GitHub or whatever, like, is it easy for you to tell that SafeMoon was kind of immediately like a red flag? Like, how do you do that? Like, what specifically did you see?
Yeah, it's easy to tell just using Etherscan and their tools. You can check wallets, you can check holders, you can check all transactions, and you can use filters that actually tune it down to, the original address and everything. And you can, it's called, on-chain analysis, on-chain audit, self-audit, that everybody should do. Everyone should learn how to do. You learn how to use the Etherscan filters, and it'll really help you see, if the project, first of all, there's a function on Etherscan that allows you to search for similar smart contracts. So if the smart contract of if the Etherscan link of the coin that you're being shilled, if the smart contract put into Etherscan brings up 17 other ones just like it, it's probably a shit coin. It's because it's been copied and copied and copied. Even if it's a copy of, you really want to look for utility. I know there's a lot of people out there that love chasing the meme coins. And funny enough, there's a thing called the shitcoin index. It's an actual token you can buy. And historically, it's done very well. It's done thousands of % in the past couple of years, just by, because it had a lot of Doge in it, Shiba, things that a lot of people wouldn't call a shitcoin, but there's no purpose for these coins, really.
Right. It's cool to hear you mention that. Yeah, you want to see like the commits and things like that. Someone actually had asked in the comments, which I forgot to ask, which is great. Have you looked at any of the Pulse code? Because it is out, and I have it here linked up on. It's on GitLab, so similar to GitHub. But I was just curious if you. Okay.
Can you click on repository?
Yeah. Let's 1 second here.
Or just click on last update. Okay. Click on last update.
Okay. Let's see.
Unless it's clicked, it's in black at the top.
It's 1 second. Maybe I'll just go back and see if there was anything. Yeah, because I see last update, but like 3 weeks ago. All right, well, we can just go with this one, I guess. So yeah, integrated. Yeah,
it's not bad. 3 weeks ago, validator staking and rotation. They're working on it. It's good. It's good to see any activity at all, even if they update it once a week. Maybe they have a test GitLab, and then once things work, they push it to the main GitLab. So things are take weeks.
Right.
But it's the projects. If you're shilled a coin, you go to CoinMarketCap, you go to their GitHub. First of all, they better have a GitHub or a GitLab. And if it says hasn't been updated in years or months, over 6 months, I'd back away from it.
Yeah, no, that's important. I sent you the link in case you were interested. Sometime to be able to look at that off stream. But yeah, no, of course, man. So I think we've kind of talked about a lot. Let me just see if there's any other questions in the chat that we can address. Yeah, Gavin Miller says,
I got time. I can answer questions. So shoot away.
Cool, man. Yeah, Gavin says, I like him. He is honest. Like I was saying with myself and in Hex, that like it's cool the community that Richard has come up with, but like Pulse is just so much more different, and you got to be like less of a like maximalist, like because from what I've seen, it's been easy to be like almost like a Bitcoin maximalist about Hex, and then when other people want to build stuff on PulseChain, it's like you're kind of like scaring them away. So I think that the information that you're covering and just kind of just being able to listen to people, chew the meat, spit out the bones is important, right? We need that development. Otherwise, what good is another ghost empty blockchain?
Yeah, I cover everything just so people have information on everything. I got to grab a drink 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, cool, man. Sounds good.
Question.
Yeah, you got it. So let me see. So BNC Capital, and shout out to the 95 people watching. Every interview is a little bit different. We haven't talked a whole bunch about Hex and Pulse, but it's always cool to hear, other people's stories, especially as we get into Pulse, right? Like I said, I actually might have a tweet to cover, but the question was kind of about NFTs, right? And Richard Hart has been notorious for saying no effing thanks, NFTs. And he's kind of talking about like the JPEGs shouldn't be sold for $1 million, but they can still have whatever like, utility that people want to, have and use, right? So when it comes to PulseChain, even with someone like Motley Investor and Vince and the other guys the other day, even if you don't agree with something, we need to realize that, hey, this is a completely different network than Hex. Like Hex is just going to be its own thing that's on the network, but the network itself needs to be utilized as a whole, and you want people to be encouraged to come build on the platform. So that's the only thing I'll say is when it comes to a community, when it comes to support, stuff like that, we need to encourage as many people to, be able to participate. That's how you get progress.
I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, so BNC Capital, he says, is it as easy to build on PulseChain as it is with Ethereum? So I think the answer is yes, but maybe
PulseChain's not live yet for building. I think it's going to be the same. It's claimed to be Ethereum compatible, so I think it's going to be the same. It's just going to be cheaper and faster.
Totally. So all about the Hex, he says, we need developers for decentralized applications, yield farms, and auditing. Do you have any ideas that can kind of corroborate what he's saying, or any thoughts on that? More developers?
We have a whole lot of devs for dApps, yield farms, and auditing. Check out what's going on Cardano. They just launched their main public test net of smart contracts. So yesterday. So everything's coming together on Cardano. Some, tons of dApps, yield farms, auditing, all sorts of things, synthetic assets, decentralized exchanges, NFT marketplaces. They're all launching within the next couple months. So, and on Ethereum, there's no shortage of developers. There's no shortage of pre-made code. There's no reason to ever reinvent the wheel in coding. If someone already made something that works really good, you should fork it and start with that.
That's a good point, right? IOTA did exactly the opposite of what you mentioned, and they tried to like roll their own blockchain and stuff like that, as opposed to, they did something that was unprecedented. And then I know what ended up happening is like they somehow got hold of their users' private keys, and then they all had to like do KYC just to get their crypto back, and that was after it like really went down in value. But I think what you said is important, that not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but seeing things that were successful and then being able to implement that, because that's exactly what Hex is like just something that was successful in CDs and traditional market, and then just incorporating it into crypto. So
yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Hex is brilliant.
All right, 1 second. Let me take a look and see. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, most people just care about utility and how long something will be around, and also price pump up, right? Like we talked about. So this guy says, I want NFTs on PulseChain. Why? Because I don't care how my backs are pumped in the beginning. Exactly, right? The network itself, when you mention the burning with Ethereum, like the network needs to be used for it to be burned, right? So If it's just empty, then it's not going to do anything. So
You want NFTs on PulseChain because you don't care how your bags are pumped in the beginning. So you're bullish on the long-term price value of the PulseChain NFTs.
all of it. Yeah.
I am too. The NFT market has its ebbs and flows, but as we can see now, I just covered a crypto. They made crypto punks, and now they made a 3D version called Meat Bits. I just covered it in a video. And if you would have got in early, they were cheap, I think, but now they cost a whole lot. The cheapest one is like 1 Ethereum.
It's just like you mentioned, right? With you mentioned early Bitcoin days, and no one knew that not social experiment, but no one knew that the social experiment and the tech was going to take off in such a manner that now we had something that was penny Bitcoin, and now it's whatever 33,000. But
yeah, Aave did 80,000. Aave did 80,000% in 1 year. So good protocols.
Isn't that like a lending protocol too? Like,
yeah, Aave's doing big things. They're going cross chain. I made a video a little over a year ago on my top 10, and Aave was in there. It did 80,000x.
As someone that's not really too knowledgeable with that, I know one of the guys that I follow, Dollar Cost Crypto, his name's Miguel. He talks about like certain ways that you can still get fiat and capital without having to, like, if you kind of like borrow against your money, you don't have to like sell it and have the taxable event and stuff like that. So when you mention 80,000%, like we have to understand that the space as a whole is the highest appreciating asset class, and then there's always some that'll just like with anything, have its life cycle that's really quick. It might pump up a whole bunch, and then things that are more consistent and actually usable for the long term.
Yeah, that's what I'm invested in.
Yeah. James had a question. He said, how far off is artificial intelligence been relevant in crypto?
AGI has been around for years. Ben Gorsuch, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but AGI, artificial general intelligence, is creating some very scary and very awesome stuff. I don't know if you guys heard of the artificially generated NFTs that people are paying a whole lot for right now, and it's becoming the next big thing. Artificial intelligence in our everyday lives is creeping in slowly in ways that we can't really tell, starting with our smartphones and starting with our laptops and iPads and all our gadgets and our metadata online stored by Google and YouTube and everything. So that's all, algorithmic leads to AI. So algorithmic is just a rudimentary form of AI. They used to call algorithms AI, but it's not. But now there's real AI. Look into artificial general intelligence and play with some of the AI protocols they have out right now. It's scary. It's scary.
That's Archie. He has to build on top of that. He says AI is scary in my opinion in the wrong hands, and it's just like what you and I were talking about when it comes to YouTube and things like this. Like they become so big that Richard talks about that and everyone kind of has their own opinion on this, but that they maybe should be treated like a monopoly and stuff like that. Just like
well, Archie says AI is scary in my opinion in the wrong hands. The project AGI, it's on CoinMarketCap. That's the whole purpose of that project, is to sort of gatekeep AI, advanced AI technology, and all of the best, not all, but a lot of the best artificial intelligence developers are getting behind AGI, and they created a marketplace where their AI algorithms, AI scripts are for sale on the AGI marketplace, so it can be gatekeeped, so that this technology cannot escape. So that's what they're trying to do. I like the project.
Machiavelli says Terminator too much. I mean, in my opinion, yeah, we definitely see some things in the space that kind of limit your freedoms and stuff. What's that?
Skynet.
Yeah.
Skynet's been up there since Terminator, before Terminator came out.
Totally. But yeah, I mean, just like with the internet and stuff like that, there's still things that you can build, and that's what cyberpunks were all about, is like still being able to build some of your own freedoms and the code is law stuff without having to, have the possibility of someone else coming in and corrupting it and using it for their own, activities.
My fear is, there's been rumors about Facebook generating AI characters for every profile. Unbeknownst to us, they're using all of our data, and in this project in the background, they're making these AI representations of us based on our history of things that we've said, our interactions, our likes and dislikes, our activity, our locations. Yeah. So that's kind of scary.
Yeah, you're right. Data, we live in like a data-driven age anymore, but so many people, just like a lot of people, they volunteer, their freedoms away. But a lot of people do the same thing with, data and stuff like that. So I think, like you mentioned, it is nice to decentralize, whether you're a streamer or write news articles. It is nice to have like multiple options of where you're posting. That way, if one of them goes down, you still have, a hub that your followers can kind of, see your information. Because otherwise, some people just get completely blacklisted and whatnot, and then they're like, just like disappeared, So it's important to still have that freedom that you have of, freedom of speech on the internet.
Yeah, Ty Malone said, is that AGIX? I believe AGIX is they moved over to Cardano. They're moving AGI to Cardano, so that may be the Cardano token. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to check that on CoinMarketCap and Google, and go to AGI's official website to make sure you're getting the right token.
Totally. Yep. Just seeing if there's anything else. Let's see. Identity Block says, thanks, guys. It's good to show the community a bit of behind the scenes. Yeah. I mean, I know a couple of the other people. You mentioned Nerd Girl. I didn't know how to feel about it at first, right? Because I was so maximalist. But then you realize, like, man, you can't have like a community and then, just constantly attack everyone that is part of that as well. So I think, yeah, it's important to be able to, see what's going on, whether you agree with it or don't. It's important to at least like fill yourself with that knowledge, and then you can kind of make your own decisions from there. But it's always
I don't believe in stifling. I don't believe in stifling speech. If I disagree with somebody, I want to have a conversation in public with them. I don't want to just silence them like the industry is doing to people.
Yeah, it's important, man. Yeah, you definitely don't want to become the people that you dislike the most and stuff like that. So, but yeah, dude, I think that's about everything for now. I don't see many more questions in the chat, so I think I'll let you get going for now. But let me just give you like the floor for another like minute or so on like I mentioned or like you mentioned the channel. You had a decent sized following and then got terminated, but now you're back on YouTube. I'll show your channel here. Is there anything that you want to leave my followers with on your channel, and a little bit more about that, if anything?
No, just go ahead and go to my channel. Subscribe if you like the things I say. I do regular live streams. I haven't been doing them lately, but those are pretty fun. Just go over the market. And I have a Telegram called the Crypto Lodge, and that's t.me/the Crypto Lodge. Pretty easy.
Perfect.
Pretty easy.
It's nice that you have it in the about section too. I need to be better about that, but
my Twitter is at @crypto_lodge, capital C, capital L.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. Yeah, dude. Thanks again for coming on. It's obviously won't be the last time that we talk, but been I appreciate you calling me out on the Satoshi thing, and just in general, it's nice to have like a conversation and be able to bounce ideas off of each other. Everyone's got their own experience that they can share that can help the other person grow. So I definitely think that all of my followers and Hexicans and everyone else should go check out DeFi Due Diligence. It's on the screen. And then, like I said, go give them a follow on Twitter as well. And that way we can all stay in touch.
Thank you.
Awesome, man. Thanks. All right, guys. So yeah, that's the stream that I wanted to do with him. I am just going to address a couple of the comments just about Hex and Pulse because I wanted to keep it separate of the interview and like conversation that we're having, and then also the chat, because sometimes it's really hard to focus on both. So yeah, let me just, like I said, I'm not ending the stream. Probably got maybe 30 minutes that I'll answer some questions. So want to cover maybe some Hex, some Pulse, whatever. Culture critique. I've been banned from Twitter 7 times. Yeah, that's the interesting thing about, like I mentioned, monopoly and stuff like that, is it's really easy for them, the social media companies, to just whatever their reason is and just ban you. I mean, look at what Hexologist, when his first channel got banned, for anyone that had watched, the guy never did any swearing, always had like family friendly content, never was rude or anything like that, and definitely got just randomly booted. And so I think that the important part, because he had streamed with Richard, and Richard's like, dude, don't try and reinstate your account, just make a new one, don't ask for permission. So I think the important thing is kind of just having, like I mentioned with Crypto Lodge, is just multiple sources where people follow you. Like on my Twitter, I've got 2 other Twitter accounts that are just alts that I usually use to like rebroadcast my stream, so it's kind of cheating. But I do that in case Ballietbran gets terminated, or in case Brian Jones gets terminated, I can change the name back to Ballietbran and not lose all my followers. I guess I'm way too based. I know what you mean there. True what you say, and I'll work on it also. Oh yeah, Ty Malone says, subscribe to you both, and thank you to you both. Yeah, thank you as well. And like I said, as someone that's been in Hex since day one, since way before day one, because it was like a 9-month delay, I've been pretty much like I hate to use terms that are like Richard mentioned, ending in ist, so I've been very Hex-centric and still am, right? I like to use what works for me and what's provided value for me and that I haven't had problems with. But when it comes to PulseChain, it is going to be that network that I think challenges a lot of people, right? Because you shouldn't have to worry about like pushing, just like with like ultra religious people, like you don't have to worry about like pushing your ideals onto someone else. There's going to be a million different religions, So just like with Ethereum, if you actually have a decentralized network, people don't have to ask for permission to build on top of it. So Richard had mentioned, yeah, there's going to be, and sometimes it's like cancerous to even like mention the word NFT. And it's like, no, we need to be able to talk about it and have a center of like information that you can still logically talk about something. Because otherwise you're just, fist in the air. So yeah, when it comes to NFTs, cryptos and stuff like that, whether you agree with it or don't, there's going to be copies like SafeMoon and Shiba and all that weird stuff that gets copied over and that gets utility, So it's important to realize the network itself is what's the most important. And the last thing we want to do that Motley had kind of experienced is like, the last thing we want to do is be like attacking and not constructive and then scaring people away from like developing, So shout out to Despide to Jefe. Brand, thanks for all you do, bro. Hell yeah, man. Thanks for all you do too, man. You're great. Yeah, same thing. If you're Spanish speaker, I think he does primarily Spanish anymore. But anyways, yeah, this guy, great Hexican, absolute OG. He's been around for forever, and I really like his streams. The name is kind of Despide to Jefe is kind of like it's either quit your job or fire your boss, something like that. So it's cool to hear him say the same thing. And we didn't really get to talk a whole bunch about at least the Hex side of things and stuff like that, but I'm at least glad to hear some of the stuff that we did talk about and hear his his experience with because I asked about crypto and he was talking about blockchain ledger technology has been around since before crypto came out, which is true. That's why most people didn't think anything of Bitcoin in the first place, because there was all these other iterations that were somewhat similar. all about the Hex, saying NFTs have no value is just not true. Yeah, and part of Richard's very what's the word I'm looking for? He's very like not eccentric, but he's like very animated about, and like he'll tell you what he thinks about something, right? But he's mentioned before that like, hey, it's not that I absolutely hate NFTs and that they're so disgusting. What he's disgusted by is when people spend $1 million on an NFT that's just a JPEG that could be, unhosted. Like that's the stuff that he's talking about, but doesn't mean he can't, have on Pulse like sub penny NFT that just happens to be something. I mean, you got to realize that you might have your own belief and your own opinions, and then other people have their own beliefs that might be different. And if whatever they believe is different from you and they're still going to use the network, that's a plus for the price. That's a plus for the network. That's a plus for the adoption. Randy Rhino. Oh, this is cool. Yay, welcome. Randy Rhino says, I heard about the Pulse sacrifice within, the last 3 days. Yeah, let's take a look, right? Let's go to PulseChain.com and just take a look. I did want to cover some of that information that Richard had talked about regarding the validators, regarding the test net. So let's take a look on PulseChain.com. Oh, and then before I do this, one thing I wanted to say, some people don't know how to go to a website and read instructions. The sacrifice phase is over. It's been over for multiple days. Don't send any more crypto to the sacrifice address, because why should you be rewarded for apathy? Why should you be rewarded for not doing your due diligence? And now Richard's going to supplicate and just give you free coins? No, it's not the way it's going to work. So, yeah, don't send any more money to that, right? All right, let's go back to the Pulse chain. Hey, what's up, Thoughts Child? Let's see. Bran, first chance to comment. Really excellent guest today. Thank you both. Yeah, man, thank you. Still need to get back to you on your email that we were kind of talking a little bit about. But yeah, I think the pitch is great. And I think what you're doing is awesome too. It's really cool to see, whether it be on Twitter, Facebook, or email chains. It's really cool to be able to get the people in that you care about and give them the opportunity as well. Because, I initially, with someone that I know, got my parents in, everyone else. And, I've seen some of their wallets go from like a $400 principal to like 15,000. It's like, oh, that's awesome. And so I was telling them that like when I gifted the wallets to everyone, that like, what great is it being rich and successful on your own when the people that you love are still suffering and still, not financially stable and stuff. So it's cool to be able to see other people as well, refresh their Staker.app and then see, oh, I earned more interest today. But anyways, let's get back to Pulse real quick. So yeah, the sacrifice phase is over right here. Do not sacrifice any more money. So yeah, shout out to this, right? And I actually have a clip because Mr. Lovely Leech, Eric Wall, he was talking about that. Oh, this is my words, not his, but he was pretty much saying like, oh, what the frickin' do? Richard raised 30 million for sends, but anyone could have done that would have just incentivized, free coins and then, possibly a tax write-off too. And I made a tweet about people to avoid, like I mentioned, when it comes to maximalism, a lot of those people, they just initially just, turn their head and just ignore. But a lot of us have listened to him. I've listened to him since when Hex came out. Him and Richard did an interview. And ain't nobody got time for that, man. Like I use the analogy, right? Oh, lead the horse to water, can't make it drink. And some people just don't get it. And I think, honestly, he's more of a I don't want to like insult or anything and then give myself bad press, but he's definitely a follower, not a leader, right? The people that follow me, they follow me. They don't dictate what I do for my streams and stuff like that for the most part, unless I think that they can benefit. But someone like Richard has no problem with adversity, controversy, and stuff like that. So he'll have anyone and everyone on his channel. But with him specifically, he wasn't, I don't know, kind of just these old arguments about PulseChain, about Hex and stuff like this. So I said all that little rant to say that I got a couple clips on my channel that might be worth listening to. And yeah, Dev Kyle, shout out to him, right? The gentleman that came up with the concept of the share rate. He was actually the one that was able to do the call with him because they wanted like a non-biased standpoint. So even if you don't like the guy, I had him blocked. Now I have him muted, but I think it's important that maybe I can leech some of his followers and at least tell everyone that this is what's going on here, not this narrative that this person's trying to paint. So EM4MBS says, what are his favorite chains? I noticed he mentioned Solana first, which has a huge blockchain size, but is super fast. Any benefits, drawbacks on the most high-profile chains? Honestly, I got nothing for that. I really, like I mentioned in the interview, used to be in all the altcoins and networks and communities in 2017, 2018, and then pretty much anymore it's just in the Hex and the Pulse, and I know a little bit about other stuff, but I am kind of looking forward to PulseChain, and not like I'm gonna spend my precious Pulse on stuff that could just be absolute, crap. But I think that the move that Richard is doing is important, and it's scaling a lot more than it has with Hex. Donald says, Donald Brandt, in the beginning of the automobile manufacturing, hundreds of brands started, but were soon whittled down to the biggest players. Totally agree. That's why it's cool to see, like, I don't even know how long it's been, but since December 2nd, 2019, now if you look at Hexonomics, it's top 3 market cap. So that's really cool. Yeah, Machiavelli 369 checkmate. Yeah, it really is. I mean, you want to go into game theory and you want to go into fundamentals and design and stuff like that. Richard's the absolute king. Not only a literal king of game theory, not only a literal Mensa, so genius, IQ-wise, and just a lot of other stuff-wise and successful. But he was able to implement that into crypto and be able to take some of his like game theory experience from video games, like the 10 years of video games that he played, and implement it into things like Hex, into Pulse. And so it's going to be really exciting to see what tricks, or not tricks, but just what things he has up his sleeves for Pulse. I'm going to go for just a few more minutes. I don't want this to be too long. Rodney Stafford says, scroll up. Do you think the large players in crypto are aware of the depths of the chess game Richard Hart is playing, and that he is extremely close to checkmate now that the media blackout hasn't worked? Yes and no, right? I think people like Eric Wall, you might be right on some things, and then it's just like, how the fuck can you be so disregarded on another thing that's he's a big fan of ETH and ZK rollups and all this different technology, but then just completely dismisses because Richard has the OA or whatever arguments they want to use. So that's the only thing I'll say there. Yes, I do think that people are aware that Richard is a threat, and he's a threat to, when I told one of my friends about Hex, they're like, see some Satan worshiping, occultists and stuff like that. And it's like, no, Hex is actually a good, dictionary.com domain, and it's easy to spell and all this other stuff. But the point is yes, I think that people understand his power. I mean, take it to Vitalik, right? Vitalik's a billionaire, created Ethereum. That's awesome, wonderful. But he raised $8 million for Sens in like a period of like 6 years. And Richard did 30 million, even though it was you guys, not him. He still helped, get 30 million, roughly 30 million within, 20 days. So I think people see that and they're like, man, don't underestimate this guy. Like someone like Richard, just like what Peter Thiel said about Elon Musk, said when they were talking about PayPal, said, I would never bet against Elon. He's always been able to find a will if there was a way type deal. Hey, what's up, Bree? Says, Eric Wall is one of those people that are fake smart. Agreed. Or too smart that they are dumb. I agree. Middle of the bell curve people hate Hex. And yet either are very stupid or very intelligent people get it. Hilarious. Yeah, you're definitely right. And then, oh yeah, Brand. Well, the thing is like, I want to be similar to Richard, not just like completely censor, but yeah, if you're listening to someone and like they're just swearing every other second, like, I like to use it to kind of like emphasize every now and then, but I don't know. I just listen to some of the other stuff and it's like, hey man, what if someone does like this more friendly approach where other people can listen to it too? My grandma, who's like Catholic, hears me say, GD or something. she'll immediately close the stream hypothetically. So you want to kind of try to appeal to the audience and be able to diversify into more of a crowd. But that said, I'll still do it. To Bree's point, a lot of people, one person I know really close, it's always with the OA, right? And even this guy like Colin Talks Crypto was, not a fan of Hex. He had gotten free Hex from the Bitcoin claim, and then he had dumped it for ETH. And then the other day he's complaining about PulseChain, that whoever the OA entity is, acted within the last day and stuff like that. And, was just complaining about the centralized control, and not even centralized control, but the, financially centralized control of the network itself, even though it's going to be decentralized. And I had to ask him, like, I know you weren't here for Hex and didn't really stick around, but it's like the same concept. So, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's taking what was successful from Hex, which is, financially centralized whales that aren't going to dump on your freaking head. I mean, you look at Bitcoin and there's a Bitcoin rich list, but then people think it's so decentralized. And it's like, well, why are there all these dumps? Because, a lot of people, do put more money in that they can lose. And the big whales don't usually need to sell and manipulate things. So, yeah, I know. Let's not talk about Eric Wall no more. CFO for a hedge fund for Bitcoin and ETH tells me why he hates Hex no matter what. Yeah, I really don't like talking about the guy. I don't. But I was forced to today, and I still am forced, maybe for another week or two. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got time for, because Kyle did a 3 hour and 30-minute interview, and I want to clip that up. Even if I don't like the guy and whatever, don't like his opinions, I'm going to clip it up just for the Hexicans that have no idea, even though you shouldn't waste your time. Just like with people that said you shouldn't waste your time with Richard, you should still have knowledge, in my opinion, on that person's opinions instead of just completely dismissing them. So that's the reason why I'm doing that. But I agree with what you're saying, right? When you have people, like I said, that are literal leeches, they'll talk crap about Hex and Pulse and Richard and this, but they get the most engagement. And same thing with this Colin Talks Crypto guy, has 20-something thousand followers, and I look at his Twitter, and his crap talk post to Pulse had 9 likes, 1 retweet, 9 likes. And so a lot of these people, they'll try and bait in, just like cloud chasing, just like what Richard's done with, Musk and, people that have bigger followers than him. He does it to people, and because that's a good thing. You want them to hear about what you have to offer. But then you see other people doing it to the Hex community, and, the Hexicans and PulseChans are such piranhas that will jump on. But yeah, there's a time that you got to realize, okay, am I wasting my time, or am I actually being getting this information through? And some people, you just can't force them to drink the water. There are many degrees of freedom in intelligence. Totally. Knowledge is power. No, it wasn't Kyle Chassie. I actually thought that was a really good interview, that Kyle Chassie guy. He had some good questions, and, same thing. You see people like him that's paid token, I think is what it was, but they're still not able to understand everything that Richard's talking about. And that's fine. But it goes to show you the sophistication that someone like Richard has. Okay, let me go back to the screen share real quick. Like I said, I'm going to end it in a few minutes. I got some it's Venezuelan shrimp thing that my girlfriend's going to cook. But let me get back into some relevant stuff and not just ranting the whole time. So, speaking of Hexicans, I got to meet this guy in Vegas, and he's a really cool, genuine guy. Don't even know his name, but cool guy. Super Hex. It's a Super Hex win. Follow him also on on TikTok. So many T's, Twitch, Twitter. Anyway, so he's got a private jet full of Hexicans, and let's take a look for fun at the HexFlex thing, right? Because I think it's really cool to see what Hexicans are able to do. Oh, dude, this is cool. I think EcoBuild. I met this. I need to actually be following him, but I met that guy in Vegas too. So it's not a real tattoo. That's just one of those day long tattoos, but still pretty cool. It says strong hands, pretty viral. And then Black Hexican, dude, this is the guy that makes some music. So maybe when I leave, I'll, you know what? I got to pee anyways. Maybe I'll pull up this guy's song right now. Yeah. Let me pull this song up. It's got like 90 seconds, and then we'll go for maybe another few minutes. But this guy, Kevin Conway is his name. I'd love to actually get him on my channel. I messaged him and still need to coordinate. But we're going to listen to a 96-second song while I take a piss break real quick. All right, everyone, give me
Flex, making money, yeah, we going by the excess. Yeah, Hex, all we know about is excess. Turn a fiat on ramp to an expressway. That's a Hex flex, hey, that's a Hex flex. Making money, yeah, we going by the excess. Yeah, Hex, all we know about is excess. Turn a fiat on ramp to an expressway. That's a Hex flex, hey, yeah, we up next. Shut up with that scam mess, cause we up in Hex. They showed a lot of disrespect, now they can cut the check. They had a lot to say, well, now they can't say nothing else. They had some gains, things changed, now it's nothing left. Hey, money went into some means, ended up and left. Hex is up and to the right, they up and to the left. Hey, looking up and down, everything around wreck. Should've dropped 100 when you found Hex. Looking for some yield, they can't find that shit nowhere. Hex in full bull mode, ain't messing with no bears. Live on the moon, it's too bad you can't go there. And sacrifice phase going on, you should go there. Took a couple weeks for me to make a couple bucks, and only took a couple months for me to make a double up. Only took a couple years for a couple thousand X. About to throw a couple thousand and whatever coming next. That's a Hex flex. Making money, yeah, we growing by the excess. Yeah,
let's do this math real quick. So when I go on Twitter and I see people buying McLarens, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, boats, houses, and shit, that's fake. Those aren't real. Or are those real? What's that got to do with these? Well, you're telling me that can't happen because the price is going to go to zero. But I see it with my eyes. I don't get it.
All right, so yeah, that's Kevin Conway. He goes by Black Crypto here, but I think it's so yeah, that's his Twitter, just being black, but instead of BLACK, it's BLAKC. So yeah, he's got I'm not going to play all of it. We're just going to do that one for now. We'll listen to his other music later. But the guy's got good flow and cool beats and stuff like that. And like I said, with anyone or anything that, like, especially when you're part of like a community, even if rap is not your thing, like, go to the person's channel, give him a sub, give him a follow, give him a like, because just like with so we'll get to that in a second, but just like with PulseChain and not memes, but NFTs and stuff like this and scams and stuff like that, that's still going to make the main, like Ethereum or PulseChain, is still going to make it so much more valuable. So that's the only thing I got to say there. Yeah, we'll just see if there's any other Hex Flex things. Give me a second here. Okay, this is really cool. Actually, I bought a. Let me copy this and then I'll pull it up in a window. So same thing as last time, right? I've shown people some of the merch and stuff like that. But let's just take a look while there's a couple seconds of silence of some Hex merch, right? So this is done by like Crypto Wares. They don't pay me or affiliate or anything like that, but I happened to buy a sweater from them that was pretty cool. And I've seen, some lovely Hexican ladies, wearing their little bikinis and stuff like that. So that's cool. But, how cool is it to be able to represent PulseChain or whatever? And not only does it look good, but the product itself is like representation of freedom, because it allows people to, earn some of their capital that they've just been getting inflated away and stuff like this. So yeah, when you go to the website, you can see that there's Hex wares. So just Hex-centric stuff. Like I said, these I like this one too, because this is almost like the Louis Vuitton monogram that Richard's a fan of. So that looks really good. But so yeah, you got the Hex stuff, like shoes and stuff like that too, like 3 packs of socks. I was like, why the hell are those so expensive? No wonder it's a 3-pack. Maybe I can make this is a joke, but like, what is it? Socks on Uniswap or something? Their own version of socks, and some incredible number of like $50,000 per pair. We should do that with Hex. I wouldn't mind making some money on that. But so yeah, anyways, this is some of their Pulse, and this is just Pulse, but they got some Pulse and Hex stuff as well. Let's see, I bought actually one of these combos of Hex and Pulse. So anyways, there's that. Let's just see if there's anything else. Yeah, as I conclude the stream, yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's watching out. Shout out to all of the people that are able to hex flex, right? What was it? Hex16, the guy that I had on my stream last time. I'm going to get him on again and not have the audio be so terrible, because his first experience was with Nerd Girl, had good audio, had terrible visual. It was like a ghost in the background because of the window. And then the second stream was with me, had good audio, but there was just some sort of clipping in had good video, but clipping in the audio. That guy, he had helped his neighbor take like a vacation that she had always wanted to take, and people like Freddie Quotes paid off, a new Lincoln Navigator or something like that for his mom and stuff like that. So, shout out to the people that can and that are able to do the hex flex, because just like with anything, right? You're not going to sell all of your hex at once, and everyone's got stakes anyways. I mean, look at this person. They got a average of like 8.5 years. Let's see, this person. It's on the other tab, but the point is, we're going to end soon. The point is for the people that can, it goes to show you that the product is working, right? And you shouldn't be mad about other people that are taking profit, because that just allows you to have more of a piece of the pie, right? So people definitely shouldn't be mad. But yeah, this person, like I said, 8.5 years, 3,098 day average. I mean, where else do you see that kind of commitment? I don't see that in Ethereum. I don't see that in any of these other things that are, staking, that there's not an actual hard lock commitment. So it's really cool to see people in the numbers. They are, they're really proving themselves. You don't have to like Richard. You don't have to like anything else. But if you look at the product from just a non-biased standpoint and you see, oh, the community is growing, the product itself has never had any rug pulls, the code itself is triple audited, what more could you really ask for? Yeah, someone asked. Anonymous says, will there be any pop-up streams tonight? Do you know? I just looked on my my homepage. I don't see anything. So, Blacktooth, uni trash. Alex Saunders, wrecked Patreon. This is funny. Morning from Thailand. I will just see if there's any other. Nug got the rug. Yeah, he also recommended like, what was it, like pickle finance? Yeah, pickle finance and stuff like this. And with the Crypto Lodge guy, we're talking about DeFi Summer, how there's just so many iterations of Yam Coin and whatever else, right? And yeah, a lot of those were just copies and ended up having major admin keys that just got people wrecked or took away from like the original things that they were forking, which was like Uniswap. So yeah, that's where I'm going to end it here, guys. Last thing I'll do is Dukaroo says, I'm smart enough to do my own research, and to block people I think will harm my bags. Totally, man. Totally. Yeah, at the end of the day, not information, but like your mind, just like you've got your health in your body, you've got your mental, physical, all that stuff. What my dad always taught me this, but like what you allow into your head, like whether it be anything, right? Whether it be, social manipulation or people talking bad about the stuff, like there's only so much room in your head that you have space for. And especially if you know that those arguments are already trash anyways, like for me, I'm at the point where I'm not even on Twitter as much anymore, just because, sometimes I'm just spending too much time and it's like, all right, what productive thing am I doing here? No, I'm just kind of, engaging with some of the drama. So yeah, it's important to, like you said, block out the people that you don't want to listen to and, listen to the people that you do. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you guys on, I think it's going to be this Wednesday, actually. This Wednesday at the same time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're officially moving. I think it's going to be this week. Nights of the Crypto to Wednesday from Thursday, because we want, Crypto Coffee to be able to join. And he hasn't been able to make it for like a month, for like 3 weeks, So we want to be able to accommodate our schedules with his and get that guy back on the stream and back in the rotation. So you should see us next Wednesday at 7 p.m. We will update you on whoever's channel it goes on. So it'll be either Wednesday or Thursday, but definitely be tuned for Wednesday. Machiavelli 23. I'll check it out later. I don't want to stream for any longer, but check out my new rap. Yeah, go check out Machiavelli. I think it's the same name, but he's on SoundCloud. So all right, everyone, peace out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.